Walter had chosen this moon for a reason. It had no people. After 20 years serving in the Terran Defense Corps, fighting wars across a dozen systems, he'd earned his solitude. The modest settlement stipend bought him a small cabin on Kepler 442's third moon, where turquoise lagoons stretched between violet forests, and the only sounds were wind and water. His dog, a genetic reconstruction of an extinct Earth breed called a German Shepherd, was his sole companion. He'd named her Sophia, after his sister who died during the Proxima incursion. The dog was smarter than standard canines, engineered for military service, but retired alongside Walter. They understood each other's silence. On the morning everything changed, Sophia returned from her usual patrol of the lagoon's edge with something in her mouth. Not her usual collection of strange moon crustaceans or bioluminescent plants. This time she carried a piece of fabric, metallic, shimmering with colors that hurt to look at directly. Walter's combat instincts flared. "Where'd you find that, girl?" Sophia dropped the fabric and barked, dancing anxiously toward the water. She'd never behaved this way before. Walter grabbed his old pulse rifle. He'd sworn he'd never touch it again, but old habits died hard and followed. The lagoon's crystal-clear water revealed her immediately. She floated face down near the shore, her body unlike anything in the known galaxy database. Her skin possessed an iridescent quality, shifting between silver and deep blue. 4 arms hung limply in the water, and what appeared to be gills along her neck fluttered weakly. Walter didn't hesitate. Whatever she was dying. He waded in, pulse rifle abandoned on the shore, and pulled her onto the sand. She was surprisingly light, her body composition different from any species he'd encountered. Her face, though alien with its 3 eyes and crystalline bone structure, held an unmistakable expression of pain. "Easy, easy," Walter murmured, falling into the medic training that had saved dozens of his squad mates. Her gills weren't moving right. She was drowning in air. He checked the lagoon water's composition on his wrist scanner. High oxygen content, mineral-rich, slightly alkaline. Without overthinking it, Walter scooped water over her gills continuously, watching them flutter more steadily. Sophia sat beside him, whining softly, as if she understood the gravity of the situation. The alien's eyes, all 3 of them, cracked open. They were like opals, fractured light dancing within. She tried to speak, her mouth forming sounds that Walter's translator couldn't parse. Then she switched, her voice like wind chimes to something his military-grade implant could process. "Hunters. Coming. Please." She passed out again. Walter carried her inside his cabin, filling his emergency medical tub with lagoon water. It was designed for various alien physiologies. Military surplus had its advantages. As he submerged her, keeping her gills underwater while her face remained above, he noticed the wounds, burn marks, weapon signatures he recognized from the war. "Damn," he whispered. The Krill Concordat used those weapons. The same species humanity had fought to a stalemate 5 years ago. The treaty was supposed to hold. Apparently, not everyone had gotten the memo. For 3 days, Walter tended to her. He'd named her Aria in his head, though he didn't know if she even had a name. Sophia remained vigilant, sleeping beside the medical tub, occasionally nudging Walter when he dozed off during his watch. On the 4th day, Aria woke fully. "You are human," she said, her voice stronger now, her translator adapting to his language. "They said humans were barbaric, violent, that you would kill anything different." Walter snorted. "Yeah, well, they say a lot of things. How are you feeling?" "Alive, because of you." Her 3 eyes studied him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "Why?" "My people are Sindari. We sided against Earth in the war. Your people have reason to hate us." "The war's over," Walter said simply, "and I'm tired of hate." That's when his proximity alarms screamed. 3 krill ships descended through the atmosphere, their weapon signatures hot. They weren't military. These were hunter craft, illegal under the treaty. Through his external cameras, Walter saw them landing near the lagoon. "They followed your trail," Arya whispered, fear evident in her voice. "I stole something from them, information that could restart the war. I was trying to reach the neutral zone to expose their treaty violations, but they shot me down." Walter looked at his pulse rifle, still where he'd left it by the door. He looked at Sophia, at Arya, at the peaceful home he'd built away from all of this. Then he stood up. "Here's what's going to happen," he said, his voice taking on the command tone he thought he'd buried. "Sophia, Protocol 7. Protect Arya." The dog's ears perked up. She moved immediately to the medical tub, positioning herself between it and the door. Walter grabbed his rifle and checked the charge. Full. He accessed his old military codes. They still worked because the Corps never truly let their veterans go. Within seconds, he'd sent a priority distress signal to the nearest patrol, including evidence of treaty violations. But the patrol was an hour away. The krill would be at his door in minutes. "You don't have to do this," Arya called out. "You owe me nothing." Walter paused at the door, looking back at her. "I owe myself something. I came here to escape who I was. Turns out maybe I just needed to remember the good parts." The firefight lasted 37 minutes. 3 krill hunters against 1 human veteran and his cabin's defensive systems. Walter had spent years in combat. Muscle memory never truly faded. He used the terrain he'd studied for months, the lagoon's geography he knew intimately. When the Terran Defense Patrol arrived, they found Walter sitting on his porch, wounded but alive, Sophia beside him. Inside, Arya was safe, the data she carried intact, proof that rogue krill elements were planning to violate the treaty. The patrol captain stared at Walter in disbelief. "Sergeant Thorne? We thought you'd disappeared." "I did," Walter said, wincing as the medic treated his burns. "But some things are worth reappearing for." Arya recovered fully over the following weeks. The information she carried prevented another war, exposing the conspiracy within the Krill Concordat. She was hailed as a hero among her people. But before she left, she stood with Walter and Sophia at the lagoon's edge. "Humans," she said softly, "are not what we were told. You could have let me die. You could have used me as leverage. Instead, you just helped." Walter shrugged. "That's what makes us human. Not the fighting, the choosing to care, even when it's hard." After she left, Walter stood alone again, not quite as alone as before. Word spread, as it always does. Other refugees, other outcasts, began arriving at his moon. Not many, but enough. His sanctuary of solitude became something else, a sanctuary of second chances, and Sophia, patient and wise, seemed to approve.